So today, let's dive into a really powerful poem. It's all about pride, humility, and what it truly means to give. It's the story of this prince who, thought he had it all figured out, only to have his entire world flipped upside down in a single night. The story kicks off with a scene that, let's be honest, we can all pretty much picture. A proud, haughty prince standing in front of everyone just bragging about all the amazing gifts he's given to God. But right away, the poem plants this little seed of doubt. It asks, were these gifts really from a place of love, or was it all just pride? And right there, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? This is what drives the whole story. It really gets to the heart of the conflict. What the prince did versus why he did it. I mean, is the act of giving even enough if your heart is all puffed up with pride? Okay, so let's really break down the prince's main problem here. His pride. It was kind of like he was wearing these glasses that warped everything he saw. It totally stopped him from understanding what giving is actually all about. The poet didn't just pick the word haughty out of a hat. It was totally intentional. It doesn't just mean he's proud. It means he's looking down on people. He's disdainful. This tells you everything you need to know. His gifts were way more about making himself look good than about actually honoring God. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The poet connects the prince's situation to a way older story, the one about Cain and Abel from Genesis. It's like the poem is telling us, hey, this problem the prince has, giving with the wrong attitude, this isn't new. It's a classic human struggle, been around forever. And this just lays it all out so clearly. On one hand, you've got the prince and Cain. They're offering gifts that come from their own hard work, their own achievements. These are gifts that basically scream, hey, look at me, look what I did. But on the other hand, you've got Abel. His offering was a sacrifice, something that came from a place of faith and an understanding that he needed a higher power. It wasn't a gift of pride at all, it was one of humility. So you gotta ask, right? How does a prince this full of himself actually learn a lesson this big? Well, spoiler alert, he doesn't figure it out on his own. Nope, it's gonna take a little divine intervention. God reaches out to the prince in a dream, a pretty gentle but super direct way to get his attention. And check out that last line. The prince actually thought his gifts made him blameless. I mean, that's how deep his pride was. It didn't just blind him to what true giving was, it blinded him to his own flaws. So here's the genius part. In the dream, God doesn't just show up and start scolding the prince, wagging a finger at him. Instead, in this amazing reversal, God starts talking about all the gifts that he had given the prince. It totally flips the script. I mean, talk about a major perspective shift. The prince was so wrapped up in what he was giving that he never once stopped to think about everything he had been given. And get this list, it's just incredible. It starts with the fancy stuff, his palace and gold, but then it gets super real, his senses, his family. It even zooms out to the whole cosmos, the sun, moon, and stars. The whole point is, every single part of his life, from the biggest to the smallest thing, was a gift he was just totally taking for granted. But wait, there's more. Even after that mind-blowing list of blessings, God wasn't done. Not by a long shot. There was still one more gift to talk about. And this one was the big one. It would make all the others look small. You see, all that stuff, the comfort, the wealth, the love, the beauty of nature, it's all great. But it couldn't give the prince what he really truly needed deep down. Because real, lasting joy, what the poem calls delight, that comes from somewhere else entirely. There was a much deeper spiritual need that had to be met. And here it is, the absolute climax of the dream, the greatest gift of all, Jesus' sacrifice. God really brings it home, making it super personal. He tells the prince this was for him, to pay for his sins. And yep, that includes the very pride that got this whole story started. And of course, this ties right into one of the core ideas in Christianity. This whole idea of Christ as a sacrificial lamb, it's so important. It's like his death is a royal pardon for our imperfections, for the sins of anyone who believes. Okay, so this revelation, it's a total game changer. It just shatters the prince's pride into a million pieces and completely changes his heart. So let's see what happens when he actually wakes up. And boom, he wakes up a completely different person. His entire focus has done a complete 180. It's not about his gifts to God anymore. Now it's all about this overwhelming sense of gratitude for God's love and this incredible sacrifice made for him. And you can really see his transformation happen in these 4 clear steps. First, it's that internal change, that feeling of love. Then he acts on it with humility, through prayer. From there, it's a commitment, a belief. And finally, he goes public with it, through baptism. So yeah, the story that kicked off with this prince bragging in front of everybody, it ends with that very same guy making this really humble, public declaration of his faith. The whole journey is complete. Pride is gone, replaced by love and gratitude. And that really leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? This whole poem is kind of like a mirror, asking us to look at our own motivations. When we do something great, are we focused on our own efforts, like the prince at the start? Or do we remember to be grateful for all the gifts that made it possible? It's definitely a question worth thinking about. Thanks for exploring this story with me.